If you've ever felt like everything bothers your digestion or have tried eliminating foods, adding foods back, cutting them out again, maybe you're somewhere between wanting structure and longing for peace and freedom with food, this episode is for you. I'm here today with my longtime friend and colleague, Alison Marras of Food by Mars. Alison is a holistic nutritionist, the author of the Paleo Gut Healing Cookbook, and the creator of the In Tune method for helping women heal food sensitivities through gut brain immune support and mindful eating. Alison put her own Hashimoto's, PCOS, and IBS into remission, and over the past decade, she's helped hundreds of women move off the dietary restriction roller coaster, not by dismissing powerful tools like paleo or AIP, but by teaching how to use them intentionally and how to know when it's time to expand. And this is a conversation that I know you need to hear because in my own work, on my own healing journey, on this podcast and in these interviews, I have seen and learned how effective these tools can be. I've experienced it firsthand. And I also know how important reintroduction, self-trust, and long-term food freedom really are. So in today's episode, Alison and I are going to talk about the gut-brain connection and how stress affects digestion, what mindful eating actually means in real life, why so many people feel reactive to everything they eat and what you can do about it, and how to rebuild confidence with food through true gut brain healing. So get ready for a grounded, compassionate, and very real conversation about true healing through the gut brain immune connection. Hello, Thyroid Thrivers, and welcome back to another episode of the Thyroid-Healthy Bites podcast, with bi-weekly episodes dedicated to helping you eat well, live well, and feel well. I'm Ginny Mahar, a functional medicine health coach, cordon bleu chef, and your thyroid health and cooking coach. So if you're ready to get inspired, informed, and empowered with thyroid-friendly food and lifestyle topics, expert interviews, and tales from the healing journey, you're in the right place, friend. Let's dig in. All right, welcome back to the show, Thyroid Thrivers, and a very warm welcome to my special guest, Alison Marras. Alison, it's so good to reconnect with you and have you on Thyroid-Healthy Bites.
I'm so excited to be here, babe. Thank you for having me.
Well, okay, so for the listeners, you and I go way back. You helped me, I don't even know if you remember this, you helped me create some really beautiful mindful eating content back when I was running Thyroid Refresh.
Awesome.
And years ago, we were talking about this before I hit record today. Years ago, Allison even connected me with the person who eventually became my cookbook editor. And now this is like a fun circle moment
Yeah.
because Allison and I are both Fairwinds Press published cookbook authors. So she wrote the Paleo Gut Healing Cookbook, which is amazing. And my Thyroid 30 cookbook is coming out officially in February of 2026. So different angles, but definitely we are birds of a feather and, geared towards the same thinking as far as living well with Hashimoto's, with autoimmunity, and just long-term thriving. So it's just really fun to reconnect, Allison. And I think the other thing we have in common is I'm celebrating 10 years this year as hypothyroid chef. How
It's
long
amazing.
has it been for you?
Same. 10 years. It actually made 10 years last year. So I think this was 11 this past September. It's kind of
How
crazy.
crazy is that? High five, sister.
I
We're in
know.
the
I
decade
know.
club.
Talk about the long game, right? And thriving long term. It's awesome.
Exactly. Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, it's always fun to see you on Instagram. If you haven't checked out Allison's Instagram, she puts out amazing content over there and, just helping women with thyroid, autoimmunity, and gut health issues heal and thrive. And, thinking about this before today, just looking forward to talking to you and thinking about the last 10 years that we've been doing this and how much has changed in the wellness world over that time.
So
And
true.
also, like, how much has stayed the same. Some of those core truths and principles, right? You know what I'm saying? And
I
so I
love it.
feel like that's going to be like an underlying thread for our conversation today.
So good because it's so true. Like we've seen it all, and especially as a practitioner, hands-on with people, and then hands-on with myself because I am walking the walk, just like you are.
Yeah.
You start to form different opinions. You start, there's nuance. There's not these sort of like no more dogma or black and white thinking that sometimes we start off with. So I do think it's really helpful to have this seasoned conversation of what we
Yes.
see working really well and what we can maybe just skip over. Save everybody some time.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yes, because there's so many rabbit holes to go down and
Oh
so
yeah.
much, stirring controversy and people go down all kinds of
Oh yeah.
paths that it's like a lot of times it just comes back to basics. But mindful eating in particular, it's like, wow, as long as I've known you, this is a drum that you've been beating. And I thought maybe we could start there. Like, I'd
Yeah.
love to know, like, where does that fire come from? Why is that such a core philosophy in your coaching?
You're so dead on. And here it really has an important role because it was my personal story. So after getting diagnosed with Hashimoto's, which took me long enough, uh, I went down those rabbit holes that you're talking about, the dietary rabbit holes, especially since I was so obsessed with home cooking and food as medicine. And it was such a great entry point into me being my own advocate and healing my own body. And it was an important part. And I think, especially as you being a chef and the cookbook and everything, it's important that we know how to cook at home and we feel confident in how we're nourishing our body. But then it comes down to it's not just what we're eating, but how we're eating because there's actual mechanisms of digestion. And so it's kind of like the gasoline you put in your car is, yeah, it's important. If you put quality gasoline in your car, it's going to increase the longevity and health of your car. But you might also need to pop the hood and see mechanically if something's going on, right? If something starts breaking down, it's not always about the gasoline. So
Right.
I came to this because after going down a lot of rabbit holes, trying low FODMAP, AIP, all the diets, it started making food stressful for me.
Mhm.
And I hit a wall where I just felt very terrified to eat if it wasn't my home cooked meal. And even then, I would start questioning every little thing. I started feeling like there were some disordered eating patterns arising. It was all I could think about sometimes. When's my next meal? What's it going to be? If I have to go out, did I pack a snack? Like it was just getting to be too much. And I started realizing and everything that I was learning with digestion, I'm like, this can't be healing. I'm in a bad nervous system state. Like I am stuck in fight or flight every time I eat. And so I picked up this book called The Slow Down Diet by Mark David.
Yeah.
And are you familiar?
Oh,
Uh,
yes. Yeah. Mary
and
Showman, my mentor, is like a
yeah,
huge fan of that book and
yes.
mentions and knows him and mentions it all the time. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So that is a big turning point. I can remember I was on Miami Beach for a weekend with my husband. It was supposed to be like, I need a break. I need a break from everything, from
Yeah.
Hashimoto's, from all the things. And I don't even know why I had I don't know who recommended it to me, why I picked it up. I don't know, but I had it with me as my beach read. And I picked it up and something just clicked. It was like supposed to be that I read that book. And it was focusing way more on the mindful eating aspect, on
Mhm.
the mechanism of digestion, and how you need to be more in the parasympathetic. And it was clicking with my nutrition training that I was receiving about how digestion begins in your brain, not your mouth, not your
Mhm.
stomach. It actually begins in your brain. So, this whole nervous system, gut brain connection, it was just this soup forming. And I was like, you know what? This is what I need to go all in on because I can't do this anymore. Like, I love food. I have my food blog. I always used to go to restaurants being a New York City girl and, trying new cuisines and traveling and going to cooking classes in different countries. And like, I love food. I cannot demonize it. I can't heal this way. I'm not healing. I feel worse,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's where it became this huge turning point. And I just kind of went all in. I'm like, okay, I'm going to practice this myself. I'm going to practice this with my clients. I'm going to see how far it goes and how much better it can make us feel. And spoiler alert, like it's my jam because I will have people come to me that they have psoriasis and IBS and Hashimoto's and all the things. And it's like they can't even eat anything without a
Hmm.
hive, rash, flare-ups. And it becomes that
Hmm.
they feel like they have no trust with their body anymore. They have no trust with
Hmm.
food. And what's the common denominator? It's that nervous system. It's how we
Hmm.
feel about the food. So we get the mindful eating. We could talk about like actual practical tips, and I have it for everyone listening in my little gift that I'm sharing with you, a private podcast called Beat the Bloat. But uh, really just actionable, free, realistic things you can do that can really help move the needle no matter what you're eating.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh my gosh, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm glad that we got to hear, not just how that's been meaningful for the people you work with, but how it, of course, and always, right, started with your own story and your own healing experience. And that is, one of the things about these therapeutic protocols like paleo or AIP, which I mean, I'm still using, I still, very much utilize those personally and help people through their, experiences with those. And they always now come with a conversation around there are certain pitfalls here and they're not right for everyone. And for some people, it can really become like, uh, it can be triggering,
Yeah.
right? For, you know, um, any kind of like, especially for people, I think, who have a history of disordered eating, or I think even without that, it's for some people, it just, when you, there's these tools are so powerful, right?
Yeah.
And we discover that power and then it's like when we're happy, we want to stay happy, right? We'll do, I just want to feel this way all the time, and then we get attached to that, right? And
Yeah.
then we just get so clingy to whatever it is that's making us feel better or feel happy or feel good, that
Mhm.
then it becomes this fearful clinging, like now I have to do this all the time in order to feel this way. And that just isn't true. These are healing tools. They're a stepping stone on the path, and they are not meant to be long term. But I'm glad you brought up that book because it reminded me of another mindfulness takeaway, and I'm fairly certain it's from Mark David and that book, but he talks about taking your supplements mindfully even. And I think about that all the time, like not just swallowing, the handful of pills or whatever that you take with lunch and dinner, but really thinking, okay, this is my zinc and this is why I'm taking it. And I'm inviting this into my body to help support my whatever it is. This is my, magnesium, and this is why just to really be present and mindful with what we're putting in our body so that it can do so that it can reach its full potential of,
Yeah.
what it's giving our bodies.
It can, and so it can actually absorb, just from a mechanical standpoint. It's like when we are stuck in fight or flight, digestion is turned off. We're in the opposite state. We're in survival state. And digestion is a little bit like more of a nice to have. It's not a survival state. So if
Yes.
we're checking emails, we're rushing to work, or literally we are freaked out, we're stressed out. I don't really want to eat this. Oh my God, I have so many pills to swallow. Like we're just in this stressed out state,
Hmm.
not going to absorb. And I see it constantly. And so that's where it's like, we really need to check ourselves. I love what you said. And I just want to highlight a clinging out of fear. Absolutely. And we don't want to do anything out of fear to be healing our body. And I know sometimes that's hard. And I'm not saying that there's a perfect place to be coming from that, but check ourselves on, ooh, yeah, maybe I am doing that a little bit. How can I make the environment a little bit better? How can I come to it with a clearer mind? Or can I reduce, or just something like that. Just how can we strike a little bit better of a balance so that we're
Hmm.
not in this freaked out, hyper vigilant state when we are eating or taking supplements. I love that. And what I always like to say too is what happens with the elimination diets is, yeah, we felt good for those 30 days, so now we're overcorrecting with them. when we
Hmm.
still haven't looked at our stress, our nervous system regulation, if there's infections in our gut. Why do I have food sensitivities to begin with? Like, what's going on there? What is the root cause of some of these things? Because predominantly food sensitivities are symptoms. So
Right.
overcorrecting with an elimination diet too long starts to become like a band-aid after a while. Instead, what I love to do, just like you said, is say, okay, maybe paleo is my core template. I know that generally 90-10 or 80-20 or whatever it is for each person, this is what's going to build more resilience, keep me maintaining a remission state or whatever, keep me in charge of my symptoms, not them in charge of me. And then from there, I know that a little rice is okay, or that a little dairy is okay in good quality or good amounts. Suddenly, the world is opening up to me again. I don't feel
Hmm.
so stressed. And then when I'm pairing it with something like mindful eating, taking deep breaths before I eat, being in a good neutral state with the food, trusting my body to handle it, I suddenly have even more wiggle room now. And so you see how it just like continues to open up from just saying,
Hmm.
okay, I know from my experiments with these diets that this is a really strong core template for me.
Hmm.
And then we move on from there. So I love that because that is that long game for sure.
Yes, yeah. And I couldn't agree more with that approach, Allison. That's so well put. Because just like you said, it's like it can be really helpful to a point, and then it can almost get to where it starts to sort of turn in on itself. And now we're having more sensitivities and more problems and all of that. And I know you touched on this a little bit of just I wanted to ask you before we get into some of the, gut brain immune more fine brush strokes of this topic. But while we're still talking about mindful eating, I'd love to maybe get some more examples from you about like examples of mindful eating. Like, how can we do it,
Mhm.
maybe without looking weird in public or it's funny because we're recording this like during Christmas week, and it's
Yeah.
probably like the height of the year for mindless eating, right? Or
Yes.
emotional eating, or stress eating, or overeating, or whatever, So, yeah, this is a great time to, if you don't mind sharing some just practical tips for how we can incorporate more mindfulness with our eating.
Yeah, I'd love to. So think of when you think of the word mindfulness, it's really how am I going to be present during this situation, during this present moment? And that's in general, we can practice mindfulness at any time. We are talking about bringing it to your meal. So some really basic things that can just go a long way is taking that moment before you eat, before you ever, touch the food, to just take some deep, like diaphragmatic breaths, right? Like just 3 breaths could be so powerful to shift your state from any kind of stress, frazzled, rushing, anything like that, into a more calm, like, nope, I'm not being chased by a tiger. It's okay to eat. And this is literally like flipping the on switch to digestion. Think of it that way, that you wouldn't, if you enter a dark room, you're not going to go do what you're going to do in the room until you turn the light switch on. And so that's step one. So I always like to do that. If you are a scroller while you eat and you need to put away your device, if you are in front of your laptop working through your lunch break, can you just like move it aside or maybe change, go to the break room or go outside or go do something else with your meal? Because what happens is we really want to use our senses in mindful eating. So our eyes, ears, nose, mouth, touch. We want to use all our senses as much as possible. And if they're distracted because you're looking at something else, well, how did your eyes communicate to the rest of the assembly line of digestion that food is coming? Did you smell it? Did you connect to it at all? Or did you just like check your emails and like shove a salad in your mouth and wonder why you're so
Mhm.
bloated and gassy? So I like to say that too, that even just like direct, like literally, if you want to be present with someone or something, you look at it, you're with it, right? So that's going to be the other thing. And of course, using your senses, savor. And then the other thing is going to be chewing your food. If you do nothing else, just be better about chewing your food. This is usually the hardest for people
Yeah.
because in modern day culture of fast food and short lunch breaks, if you even get one, rushing to eat in the car, bars, snacks, right? It's not, nothing is to just enjoy and savor your meal anymore.
Hmm.
Right. And you know what I always find so funny, Jenny, especially as a mom of like little kids, we were talking about this before, or if you're busy working or whatever, just the modern day human situation, we often think to ourselves like, oh, I need to carve out time for self-care. No, I've had to learn the hard way. So mom of small kids, you might not be getting so much time. And so it really becomes, can I make the mundane activities in my day self-care?
Oh
And
my gosh, amen to that. Yes.
so what if my breakfast, my coffee or my matcha, my lunch, I just bring some more mindfulness to it. I elevate the experience. You know, you and I are both like the foodie. So, I have like props for my food blogging days. I have like beautiful low bowls and beautiful pottery. And I swear to God, I use them. I eat in them. They're beautiful. I love to plate things nicely. Of course, I know you do. It doesn't even, it doesn't have to be that if you're not a food lover like that. But how can you just make the experience more like self-care?
Yeah.
Can you light
Yeah.
a candle? Can you play music? Can you eat by a window or eat outside or drink your coffee outside? Like these little things give us more life, gets us into the parasympathetic nervous system state, allows us to slow down naturally without us forcing it. And then just chew your food. Chew, 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 chew as much as you can till applesauce consistency. Start low and slow. No one's expecting perfection. I'm certainly not perfect at it, even with 10 years of practice. I just know it's important and I try. I just show up
Mhm.
like a yoga practice, right? They call it a practice because you're always practicing. Some days you might be weaker at certain things. Some days you might forget and fumble, but you showed up. And that's all it is. And that's going to make a huge difference. I have people telling me, like I was talking about psoriasis and IBS, oh, I ate the same thing that normally causes me flares, but I ate it mindfully and I'm fine. They didn't change the food. So this is just another
Mhm.
factor in digestion, in healing, and lowering inflammation that we really ought to look at because it can go a long way.
Oh my gosh, such great tips, Allison. Thank you so much for sharing that. And yes, every mom out there needed to hear the tip about you've got to find the moments in the mundane. I think I always would laugh to myself waking up in the morning. You know, when morning routines were like getting so huge on Instagram, people were doing these ridiculously elaborate morning
Like three
routines. And
hour
I
morning.
still
Yeah,
think about this every morning. You know what I do? I call it dishwasher yoga.
I
I
love
get
that.
up, I make my kid breakfast before school, I get his water bottle ready to go, and then I unload the dishwasher. And it's like, actually, this is a really nice way to start the day. Like
Mhm.
light movement, there's some stretching, some up, down. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be this elaborate thing. And it's just about paying attention, whether that's with the food we eat or and the only thing I want to add about the food piece of mindfulness is and you had so many great um tips. I think just the ingredients too. I don't know, that's one thing that really inspires me is like beautiful produce, like going to the farmer's market, going to a nice we have a nice health food store here with beautiful produce, local things, to get like a pomegranate or some really nice oranges or artichokes and just behold, like, how
Yeah.
miraculous is this? All the colors and flavors and textures that nature provides, it just, yeah, and it's wonderful to we enhance our enjoyment of
Yeah.
food when we savor. Yeah, I love that word that you shared. Hey, Thyroid Thrivers, Ginny here. I just wanted to pop in and share with you one of my best resources that you might not know about, the Calm Kit. We all need to make time to relax and unwind because stress is a part of life, but taking steps to manage that stress can have so many benefits for us as thyroid thrivers. If we leave our stress unchecked, it can really take a toll on our health. That's why I created the Calm Kit. It's filled with healing meditations to help you reconnect with your inner peace, calming breathwork videos to help you relieve anxiety instantly, restorative movement videos to help you relax and rehabilitate the body, soothing recipes to nourish your body and soul, and so much more. I've also thrown in a bonus bedtime bundle for better sleep and sleep hygiene. Life can be hard sometimes, but you can find calm in the eye of the storm with the help of the resources inside the Calm Kit. Self care is not selfish for thyroid thrivers, it is essential. So give yourself the gift of rejuvenation today. You can learn more at hypothyroidchef.com/calm. I know one thing you kind of mentioned was gut health, and I think that's another thing we absolutely have to talk about, of course, because
Yeah.
so often, right, it's like we don't want to be using these therapeutic dietary protocols as like a band-aid and not really looking at other root cause factors, which can be numerous, but gut health, hello, it's like with any kind of thyroid issue, with any kind of autoimmune issue, you gotta look at the gut. So, and I know so many listeners feel like, maybe everything bothers my digestion, or I'm having all these symptoms that maybe don't feel like digestive symptoms, so I'm not thinking gut, and they have gut issues they don't realize they have, and it can get really overwhelming. So where do you start with that with people and kind of, okay, we have to have the gut
Yeah,
conversation when and how to do
absolutely.
that in a way that isn't going to make us lose our minds or just get instantly, frozen with overwhelm.
Yeah. Hippocrates said a bazillion years ago, whatever it was, all disease begins in the gut. And it really is the epicenter of our health. There are so many connections, gut brain, gut immune, gut hormone, gut skin, because that's where our nutrients are being absorbed and being ushered out to the rest of the body. And then vice versa, we get feedback. Let's say when we're really stressed or whatever. A great example I always like to use is like if you've ever, because I know I always get butterflies before I fly, in the airport, my stomach hurts. I'm nervous.
Mm.
I could have eaten nothing the whole day. It had nothing to do with food. It's just that I'm nervous. There's butterflies in my stomach. How is that? And so that's that two-way. All of them are two-way connections in the gut. And so I always like to explain that because, yeah, gut healing, but we always have to look at other things too. So if you're here because you have a thyroid issue, we tend to see in our practice when someone has hypothyroidism, we have depressed stomach acid. So we might be more susceptible to parasites and overgrowth of bacteria and bloat and all these things because we don't have enough stomach acid to help all of that, to disinfect the food, to break down the food. This is why chewing, it's our first line of like breaking down the food, unless you're going to cut up your food like a toddler, which I also recommend do that. But this is why it's so important to consider gut first. The other thing is if you are autoimmune, we know 70 to 80% of the immune system lives in the gut. So even if you're like, no, I poop every day, or I'm not terribly bloated, like I'm very happy for you. That is awesome. But if you have skin issues, if you have an autoimmune disorder, and if you have thyroid issues, we've got to look there, you know? So that's really important. And of course, if you have food sensitivities, absolutely. If you know you're react out here and reacting to nightshades or dairy or whatever, well, why? It's not that you need to be reacting to those things. Me, myself, as a case study, I was basically born intolerant to dairy. Not an allergy, but absolutely a sensitivity. Always, bloated issues. Even my formula that I was given as a baby had problems with it. And so now as an adult, through all the gut healing, all the things that I've learned, all the tools that I'm telling you about, I eat it daily and it's no problem. My thyroid numbers are fine. Like it doesn't need to be the big bad wolf that everyone has to, take out of their diet. So these are really critical things to understand that through gut healing, like all things are possible. And what I love to do is just simplify it into sustainable terms for people on step by step by step because digestion is absolutely a north to south process. It is like that I Love Lucy episode with the chocolates, like on the conveyor belt. And so we just need to go in a nice step by step. We need to know what each person, like where maybe the breakdown is in their machine, so to speak, what needs to be really looked at. And then, of course, we really love to do like stool samples, like gut healing protocols after we have actual lab analysis on what's going on. Are there overgrowths that need to be eradicated? Do we just need more good bacteria? How do we balance things out? Something you said that I want to highlight is that when we do too many elimination diets for too long, something we have seen in the data when we do this lab analysis on people is they have reduced microbiome diversity. This is a no-no for gut healing. And the reason that's happening is because even though you are out there at the farmer's market buying the in-season artichokes out in spring and buying the in-season pomegranates in the winter, a lot of people don't. We're not doing that. We're not rotating. We're not eating seasonally. We're not doing the things our biology is accustomed to. It's needing. But when we do, we're feeding good guys in the microbiome that will actually do a lot of work for us. The supplements, we don't need the supplements suddenly. When the good guys are online, they're fighting the bad guys, they're keeping things in check, they're, helping us absorb things, create B vitamins, do all these great things that our bugs do when they're in check. So that's another key thing where it's not even just the mental aspect of the elimination diets. That's a huge part of it. But the other part is just the real science, data, physical part is like, well, we need enough diversity to feed good guys too. And
Hmm.
when you're on an elimination diet too long, you're naturally just going to eat the same five things, right? Like
Hmm.
when I look at these AIP food journals, it's like plantain chips and chicken and carrots over and over and over, and and just like all different ways. And it's like,
Yeah,
we need
yeah.
some more ideas here. We need to rotate food, and we need to heal your gut just so that you have more resilience.
Yes. Yes, that dietary diversity is your insurance policy
So
for
key.
gut health.
Yes.
Yeah.
So well said.
But so many people end up, I think, in a state of acute dysbiosis. Maybe there's leaky gut at play. And then it's like, well, there really is a lot of reactivity in the gut, a lot of food sensitivities and
Yeah.
things like that. How do you help people get over that? Do you usually you're doing testing, obviously, and then like, where do you go from there?
Yeah. So literally the order that I like to tackle this in as a nod to the north to south process, nervous system from day one.
Hmm.
That's what everyone needs from day one. Some people will come in and they'll be like, well, I'm not that stressed. I don't have that much stress. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Doesn't mean your nervous system doesn't need more support. As a modern day human, not to sound jaded, we're zoo animals. This, of course, we're dealing with these challenges, these health challenges. We're not really living in a way that our biology would demand. We've advanced really quickly, but our bodies are still like, I need sunlight. I need fresh air. I need some key things, the sexy basics, right? The foundations, the things that don't ever change that we need.
Hmm.
So we start there. We really prime the body, get all systems a little more functioning, a little more online, gut and beyond, hormones, all the things. Look at blood sugar balance, the nervous system, like I said, make sure our detoxification pathways are open, especially with Hashimoto's. We struggle with that. We tend to be very slow detoxers. So we start with all of that. Okay. Then we start the testing because we're like, okay, now let's see what's truly left that needs to be
Hmm.
supported. Let's do the stuff that I know everyone and especially, each person needs from a bio individual basis because we do a lot of intake to make it more personalized. And then we move to the gut testing. And so, for example, let's say someone's got this leaky gut dysbiosis, which basically just means an imbalance of gut bacteria. So maybe there's some overgrowth, maybe there's some good guys missing. We put together a really strong supplement protocol along with dietary stuff. If I can get stuff out of food first, I'm going to start there. So I'd rather you be eating maybe cooked, cooled white rice for prebiotic starch versus giving you prebiotic powder fiber if I don't have to. Like, why am we going to buy more, junk? So
Hmm.
I would rather just get the food piece. I would love to get you eating seasonally. And because we've already started with nervous system work and some other really critical work, we can already start reintroductions for a lot of people. We don't have to wait till labs and a protocol is done. We can usually start people opening up their food within the first few weeks. So that's also exciting because once those things are better, you're already like, okay, I can expand a little bit more. I don't have to feel so rigid for most people. But to your point, it's like we often need to do some deeper healing so this can sustain. and we've already built these great habits and we've already got these great systems online and things are rolling. And now we just needed to say, oh, you just need like a few of these supplements for a few months. And we keep going. We kill the bad guys, we restore the good guys, and we get more and more back. And the resilience keeps building. So that's what we love to see happen over time. It's very methodical. Um, and then, of course, if there's anything more, like if there's like a lot of inflammation in the gut that we're going to see or anything like that, sometimes it just requires some more phases of the gut healing. So it's really intentional, it's really individualized for each person. And because we love food, it's like that's always a shared goal is like we want to get as much food back as possible, or we want to know the poison is in the dose. You can do rice once or twice a week, but not every day. That's okay. That's all I need. That's all most people need to know is like, oh, awesome, I can do that. So
Hmm.
that's also exciting is there's so much nuance with it, and we really help guide people to pick up on those signals and symptoms from their own body, trust their body, know how to nourish it, and we kind of put our heads together on the rest to really solidify the plan.
Yes, Allison, your clients are so lucky. That
Aw.
sounds, it can be so overwhelming. And that sounds like just such a thoughtful way to help people move through that process where you're not leaving stones or issues like unturned or unaddressed. And I know one thing that I keep kind of hearing pop up in our conversation and thinking about too is just this issue of like with like you with dairy, right? You know you have a dairy sensitivity. That doesn't mean zero dairy for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
Maybe it means you're not drinking a glass of cow's milk every day. I don't know, I mean, it sounds
Exactly.
like you're eating, but this idea that when we maybe react a little bit to a food, that it's completely off limits. And
Right.
it just, in many cases, it doesn't have to be that way. There can be thresholds, right? And how do we discover those thresholds so that we can have some food freedom and then we can enjoy things like going out to eat or traveling where it's like, I'm going to use my wiggle room right now. I know what I always say, define your dietary hard lines, right? What are the things you
Absolutely.
just they are not your friends. It's not worth the flare up or whatever
Totally. Because
that
you
you
want to feel
have to
confident.
avoid.
Yeah, you
Yes.
want to feel confident
Yeah.
advocating for yourself or speaking to a waiter or whatever it is and be like, no, I am gluten free. Like
Yes. Yeah.
gluten free. You could tell them you have celiac. Whatever you got to tell them, they don't know necessarily what a food sensitivity is all
Yeah.
the time. But they
Or
know they
friends
have to
and
be diligent.
family. Like that's
Yeah,
where I'm at right now. I can have a little bit of dairy or whatever. Yeah. And then
totally.
so we know our hard lines, we know our wiggle room.
Exactly.
But
That's
I'm
so
curious
important.
if there's things, that you see, like, are there maybe specific like categories of food that you see people unnecessarily afraid of in this, like, especially in the thyroid community?
Yeah. I would say dairy is probably number one. It's gotten a really bad rap. People say right away, like dairy is inflammatory. There's hormones, there's this, there's that. It comes down to some really key nuances. Number one, exactly what you said, threshold. Poison is in the dose. If you learn nothing else about food sensitivities from me today, learn that. So everyone has a unique threshold and at different points. So in the autoimmune world, we talk about the bucket theory, right? Where if my bucket is full, like right now, you've probably seen me do this a couple times. I have a little cold and virus because, like I told you, I got little kids and they like to bring home germs. And it's tis the season right now, right? It's everywhere. So I know my bucket's kind of full. Do I want to go play with the maybes right now, or do I want to like, reel it in right now because I really want to get better, or amp up the soups and the bone broths and the sleep, right? Not even just
Such
food,
a
right?
good
The
point.
sleep and like taking care of myself and light movement. I'm not gonna like overdo it. Stuff like that. Hydration, up the minerals in my water. These key things. So I need to know where my bucket is at any given point. And that's part of that is trusting my body and feeling really confident to make these decisions and to set these boundaries. And so even like my husband, even my 6-year-old knows when I'm like, oh, my bucket's full, they know like better take care of mommy, better steer clear of mommy, like none of these things. Like my husband even yesterday was like, do you want some of this dessert? And I don't want sugar. No, no, I don't want sugar right now. my bucket is full. I will not sleep tonight. I will not feel good. So I
Hmm.
get to a place where my bucket is manageable again. And then it's like, oh, yeah, I can handle some of that. I'll be fine. Literally won't even
Hmm.
react because I know where I'm at. So that's number one is like know thyself. And that's a lot easier to do when you've calmed things down. When
Hmm.
you are reacting to everything, it is hard. So I just want to say that to listeners. It's not like I'm saying you're silly and missing something or paranoid. No, I know what it's like to actually truly react to like everything that you eat. It's not necessarily in your head, but it is your nervous system partially that is being hypervigilant. Um, and it is this idea that we still need to understand our bio individuality here. Like, what can I tolerate right now? And how do I continue to heal and build resilience while I navigate this? It is messy. It's not super neat. We try to make it as neat as possible, but it is a little messy and we try to just have fun along the way, you know? So that's that piece. But the other thing, so dairy, it gets a bad rap. So poison is in the dose. That's number one. I went on a little bit of a tangent. Second,
It was a
quality.
good one.
Okay, good. The second one is quality. I'm not out here eating Kraft mac and cheese or Velveeta,
Right.
right? I know that if I have especially like goat and sheep cheese, I can really enjoy a good amount of it. I know that if I have A2 milk, a little drop. I don't like glasses of milk anyway, never did. Freaks me out to drink that. I wouldn't, even if I could tolerate it, I wouldn't want it. But if I want a little drop in tea, I'm at someone's house, they don't have, unsweetened almond milk or something. I want that. That's actually better. That's going to give me some calcium. Awesome. Good for me. Right. And so that's really cool is to just know, okay, good quality and paired with quantity is going to be really important. The
Hmm.
other thing I would say, I see a lot of people in the thyroid community like really being scared of. Look, gluten is obviously there. You're going to get a lot of bang for your buck to be gluten free. Um, I can say I've done a lot of healing to the point where if I choose to have a little bit of gluten and my bucket's low, I know I'm feeling good. It won't do anything to me, which is an awesome place to be, but it has taken me a long time to get there. That
Hmm.
has not always been the case. I would immediately get hives on my eyes, like just from eating or getting gluten at a restaurant. So it was very much a thing
Hmm.
for me for a long time. I'm not out here eating it all the time. When I go out, I say I'm gluten free. It would only be once in a blue if I'm like, you know what, that croissant just looks amazing. Could I just have
Yeah.
like half? I can absolutely get to a place where it won't do much to me at all. Like it's
Hmm.
fine. But
I'm,
in general, our client, like we say gluten free.
yeah, yeah.
But I will say it doesn't have to be a never, ever, ever in my life for some people. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. And I wanted to ask you about gluten because I've had, so many people on the show, and there's a spectrum, right, of like absolutely no gluten for any thyroid patient anywhere ever 100% of the time. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of very good, evidence-based reasons to back up that opinion.
Sure.
And then also, there's people who are like, it just really depends on the person. And no, it absolutely is not
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be 100% no. And I
Yeah.
will, for the listeners, I'll share with you, I'm right where Allison is too. I am right there with you. I went like totally gluten-free for quite a while. It did help me. Also, like right there with you with dairy. For me, I go with aged raw milk cheeses if I want cheese. I don't want cow's milk. Like there's so many good dairy-free, even ice creams and stuff out there.
Yes.
It's like, why? When I
Yeah.
know, but if I'm at a restaurant or like last night we had our solstice dinner and I made this is fun. I made Kate J's sticky toffee pudding from her
Oh,
AIP reintroductions.
delicious. I love her.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. She's actually another Fairwinds press buddy.
She is, yes. That's
And it's this wonderful AIP recipe for reintroductions. And she recommends like a coconut milk ice cream. But I told my husband, like, I really want our son to enjoy this. And he did. He loved it. So I
oh,
want to get like actual, like, will you go to the store and get some French vanilla? And
love.
so I didn't have often I'll keep like a thing of coconut milk ice cream in the freezer. I didn't have any. I was like, I'm just going to have a small scoop of French vanilla ice cream on this
Good for you.
grain-free, delicious sticky toffee pudding cake.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's okay once in a while because I'm in, and like you said, the bucket, how full is my bucket? Am I dealing with other things? Am I in a gut healing protocol right now for something? I just went through something where I picked something up on a trip to Honduras that took me months
Mm,
to kind of rebalance from.
yeah,
So where are you? And then how can I use this knowledge, this personalized knowledge about what my body thrives on and what it doesn't thrive on to heal. So, anyway, just
yeah,
lots and lots of good material here for the listeners to understand. Like it truly is personalized. You even for the big heavy hitters, the big dogs like gluten and dairy, there is hope. You don't
yeah,
have to feel like I can never have just a regular piece of pizza again.
exactly.
Your croissant is we have a local pizza place that makes
Mm,
this pizza with sourdough crust and they offer a gluten-free option and it's just not as good. And like twice a year, I'm like, this is happening.
good for
I
you.
want to go out for pizza with my family,
And that makes
you
you
know?
feel like just normal, empowered, like okay, all the
Yeah.
healing that I always do, all the work that I put in, even though it's your normal at this point, it's like I get to enjoy that. Like I'm in
Yeah.
charge.
And I
Yeah.
know it cannot be my everyday. I don't feel good that way. Like your eye rash, I get like
Yeah.
really red around my face and my
Yep.
chin. I get super bloated, my joints.
You know your threat, you know right away, like, oh,
Yeah,
okay, that was
yeah.
it. That's done.
Yes.
And
And
that's
I've learned I
okay.
can't go down the slippery slope, but I know what my thresholds are. And I will say at this point, most of the time I get away with it pretty much scot-free.
Right. Yeah.
And if
And
I do feel it, it's like I do feel a little inflamed from that for a few days. And I have all these other tools in my
the bounce
toolbox.
back.
It's a tool, just like you were talking about. Take the tool out of the toolbox, use it, put it back, you
Absolutely.
know? So, what a great conversation, Allison. I know my community is listening and grateful for your expertise and insight and your, lens and perspective on this. It's always so fun to hear from you and get, your fresh takes on living well with hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's, with autoimmunity, with all the things that you've lived through. So, thank you so much for that.
My pleasure. I hope everyone enjoyed. I have that awesome Beat the Bloat private podcast for anyone who wants more me in your ears, guiding you through mindful eating and digestive support. I just love doing everything with you. So, yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, I will definitely put a link in the show notes for the your Beat the Bloat private podcast. That's so cool. And you also have a three-step gut healing masterclass.
I do, yeah. And I talk a little bit more about that process that I took you through. I have awesome case studies, a lot of Hashimoto's and gut issues, so that you can actually see how we apply that. So I definitely give it a go if you're like, okay, yeah, gut healing is something I need to look at to get the autoimmune in remission or just to obviously feel better in the day to day. That will give you a really good primer.
Nice. And if people just want to like connect with you online, where's the best place for them to do that?
Definitely Instagram. Come say hi, come DM me. There might be a robot, chat, but then I'll get to it personally. And then for sure my blog. I've got lots of recipes on there and resources and little things that you can have on there, and that's foodbymars.com.
Yes, I love your recipes. Allison is such a great cook. It's always fun to connect with another food lover, another thyroid thriver, and another thyroid advocate, patient advocate, and health coach helping people on this shared mission. So, thank you again, Allison. It's been so great having you on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for spending this time with me and tuning into today's episode of the Thyroid Healthy Bites podcast. If you've enjoyed today's show, please don't forget to like, subscribe, or leave a review on your podcast platform of choice. Your support makes this show possible. For more thyroid healthy food and lifestyle inspiration, check out my free library of thyroid-friendly recipes and lifestyle content at hypothyroidchef.com and the Hypothyroid Chef YouTube channel. As we wrap it up, head to the show notes for information and links to everything we talked about today, along with the link to my free thyroid-friendly grocery guide download. I'm Ginny Mahar, your thyroid health and cooking coach, wishing you happy cooking, happy thriving, and the best of health. See you next time.